Stop. You are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
What's this about?
You'll find out later.
Min bror sitter på fullt med stick som en kaktus. Kokainet här väcker upp det som en kall dusch. Till 24 mannen inte som en nattbuss. Fett stark hasch, du kan åka på en halv fluss. Aina skicka agent, de tror James Bond. Mannen obsen har mens, de behöver tampong. Och det är ingen abonnent om du råkar vara broke. Och oj, det luktar bränt, vem blev smoke? Andas lite grant och det är luft som en ballong. Mannen som en sportman, kokainet den är strong. Bara kontant, ingen swish eller sånt. Lite inte på någon bank, docka i en skokartong. Jag hade på mig bandana black hoodie. Min bror är 1000 gubbe, inte 100.
Ms. Leya?
Officer?
Do you know why you're here today?
No! There's absolutely no reason why I should be here today. Your idiot fucking cops arrested me for no fucking reason. They wouldn't even tell me why.
I have here some pretty serious accusations. You're accused of being a static character, showing no growth throughout the entire series.
It's impossible. I'm the main character. They know me. They've seen me. The audience understands. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a mother. Nobody goes through what I've been through and remains a static character.
I do not know you. In fact, if you're telling the truth, it seems the viewers don't know you either.
I want my lawyer.
Leya, no need to say anything else. Please, I'd like to speak with my client alone.
You will plead your case in court.
All rise.
Thank you. Today, we are here to discuss the matter of Leya. Do you not have a last name?
No, sir.
Right. Well, let's just get this started then.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Remember, this is only the first time slot of 5 that we have to represent each 5 acts in Leya's character development. I only want things relevant to the first time slot, the exposition.
Okay, noted. Okay, the opening scene gives us a good idea of who Leya is. She's constantly trying to convince others that she has it all together, even though she can't even afford to be in the building she works at. We see her continue to put on the show with a potential investor. Marcus says that he'll do business with her, and this is enough for her to rave about her accomplishments to her friend, Victoria. It turns out, however, that Marcus has set out to steal her company from her in the form of a convertible loan. When Leya discovers this, she does not tell her friend Victoria, who had put in her chips with Leya and Target Coach. Instead, she asks that she give up the opportunity to meet Thomas Storm. Leya uses Storm to sloppily patch up the hole in her ship that is her initial investor. She puts on airs that Target Coach is entirely owned by her and gets into yet another problem. She does not have money to buy out Marcus, and not only that, but unbeknownst to Storm, 6% of the company is owned by Victoria. Leya's fake it till you make it mentality is driving her into the ground. She is fake it till you make it personified. She's so good she even fools herself. She doesn't know when the jig is up, and even when there is a way out, she does not take the reliable, albeit distasteful, choice. Instead, she chooses to slap duct tape onto her problems. It is our argument that she remains this way for the remainder of the series.
Fake it till you make it. This phrase has been used a lot by opposing counsel, and I think it very strongly misrepresents my client. Leya is hardworking. Leya is dedicated. She knows what she wants, and she makes decisions to get what she wants for her family. She's a mother. She cares so deeply for her son, Sammy. She will do anything that she can to build a life for her, a life for her son, a life without a father. As a single mother, she needs to survive. She needs to provide, and that's what she does. She makes decisions, specifically with Thomas Storm, making that deal, She knows what she's doing and she gets the money she needs to start a very successful business. We see her make decisions and choose paths for her family, for that security, working with Ravi, the uncle of her son, a person that she's known for years. This relationship, even though because of its turmoil, because of her Ravi's relationship with the gang, but she knows who he is and she knows what she's getting herself into, and she makes this decision for her family. Leya is reliable. She is loyal to herself, to her family, and even though she can turn against her friends, she does it for a purpose. Leya is purposeful, Leya is driven. And so fake it till you make it, not at all. Leya is the least fake person in this courtroom today. Thank you.
All right. Now, how does the defense interpret the second act, where Leya makes a deal with Ravi in order to continue building her company?
Now, Your Honor, prosecution would like to argue that Leya is static, that she doesn't change, that you don't see any actual growth with the way that she makes decisions and treats other people. And I would like to say that that is 100% false. In this second act, we see Leya struggle. We see her get this gift for her son Sammy, who she loves so dearly, from Ravi, the uncle of her child, and she immediately gives it back. She immediately wants to have nothing to do with the gang, wants nothing to do with these people that hurt her so badly, that reminds her of her past. But soon we see her change. We see her make a decision to invest with Ravi, to do that for her family, for Sammy, and she changes. She grows, because even though she has the same motivations to provide, to resist, as long as she wants to resist, she doesn't. She gives in. You see that change, you see that fundamental shift in her decision-making, her personality, and she will do anything, but she will do anything with people that she doesn't trust. Even though they are family, you can see her struggle and you can see her give into that and then fall into this pattern of decisions that help her but can hurt other people, and that is hard. That is hard for her, and you can see that struggle throughout and to the end. So saying Leya is static? Absolutely not.
Your Honor, I'd like to object. The decisions that Leya made in this second act of her development were not development at all. She is still a static character. Her choice to put her chips in with Ravi was just a continuation of the behavior that we witnessed in Act 1. We see that she is the type of person who's willing to lie to her investor and say that everything is good just to get his money. And she's willing to lie to her friend Victoria when she realizes that that convertible bond is going to sink their business. She's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that she ends up on top. And we see that continuation in selling out her own son to Ravi. Ravi is a drug dealer. Not only a drug dealer, he is the leader of a gang. And she let this man hang out. She gave him complete access to her son just to get money to save her sinking ship, Target Coach. This is the same behavior that we saw in Act 1. It's not her making a sacrifice. It's not her changing and doing dirty deals because she has to provide for Sammy. If she loved Sammy, she would not have sold him out. She is the same person. She has not changed a single bit. She is the same person, and she is also still naive. She believed that Thomas Storm, who wanted the company to just be him and her, that he would think it's okay that 6% of the company is owned by Victoria. She thought that was somehow still going to work out, and it didn't. And he told her to cut her out, and she ended up having to do that. Still a continuation of the same person.
Thank you. Now, in the third act, we see Leya snitch to a rival gang. How does this court see Leya's actions in the third act?
Leia. Leia snitches. She gives up details to the opposing gang of her family, of Ravi, the uncle to her child. This is a complete 180. We just saw her struggle with trying to find enough money for her company, for Target Coach, talking with Victoria, her best friend, giving her parts of the company, investing with Ravi. But now she switches. She snitches on this gang to save herself, to save her family. But in the same decision, in the same sentence, she turns her back on her family because that's what she has to do for her child, for her company, for her life. This is a complete switch in character, and we see her struggle, we see her grow through these changes. So I argue that she's not static. She grows, she changes, she shifts, she flows, she moves. Thank you.
I would like to reiterate that Leia is not doing this for her son. She's doing this only for her. And we have concrete proof in that in the last scene where she literally sold him out to a gang leader. So definitely not for Sammy. In this scene, we see that she snitches on Ravi and his entire gang. She does not care. She doesn't even know how many people are in that gang, and she just gave them all up. She does not know what's going to happen to them. And yet, again, another example of her naivete. She doesn't think when she does these things. She's just trying to do whatever she can to save herself, and she doesn't think very far past that. Yet another example of that is when she thinks that she can just go and talk to Danny, another leader of a gang, and that she thinks that just by talking to him, he's not going to give her out, or she can somehow solve the situation. She never knows when to quit, and we've seen that in the past 3 scenes. She's not changing at all.
In Act 4, we see you, Leia, choose to spare Ravi's life after having planned out a hit. As a direct result of this action, we see all of you dragged out into the forest in the ultimate showdown. Do you have anything to say about this?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My feelings about Ravi are the absolute opposite of static. I loved him once. He is the brother of my former lover. He is the uncle to my child. And I loved him, but unfortunately I could not trust him. I did not want him around my child. He is the leader of a gang. So at first, yes, I refused all access. I did not want him around. But then as I grew desperate, I realized that he is my family. He is somebody I can go to. He is somebody I can trust, somebody I can rely on. So yeah, I asked him for the money, and when he gave it to me, I thought we were forming a new relationship. I thought we were really gonna start over. And then for him to go turn on me again, for him to try to take over my company, for him to take my child from his school and put him behind the wheel of a car, an extremely dangerous situation. I hated him again. I hated him. I recognized that killing him was the only way to help my family, to help myself. But then, to continue on this roller coaster of emotions, his mother came to my door. The grandmother of my child. And I was forced again to remember that he was family and that I did not want him dead. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'd like to call a witness to the stand.
Who? There's only 5 of us.
I call the ghost of Salim.
Salim?
Hello.
Salim, please give us your thoughts on Leia and what happened. Seeing as you loved her, I'm sure you have much to say.
I love Leia. Before Leia, I wasn't living. I woke up. I got out of bed. I went to work. I got home and I got high. When I met Leia, I started to care so much. I cared so much about life. I cared about how she felt. I cared about if Sammy had somebody to play with that day. I cared about her business. Leia was everything to me. And I thought we could build a life together. And we were in that arcade and we had the chance to kill Ravi. I thought that was it for us. But every time I turned, Leia had some other plan. And I had to try and fix it. You know the worst part about it? Is even after I died, I still love you, Leia. I still fucking love you. So, Leia, I don't know if you've changed. But you certainly made me change.
Thank you, Celine. You may go now. I would just like to reiterate what has already been said. After meeting with Ravi's mother, Leia becomes sympathetic towards Ravi, causing her to stop Celine's assassination attempt. This results in her, Celine, and Tim all being dragged into the forest for that showdown. This is just what we've been seeing for the past 4 scenes. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Leia is someone who doesn't care how she affects other people. She doesn't care that she might have to kill the uncle of her child. She doesn't care that Celine might get dragged into all of this. A man who loves her kid. All she cares about is herself. No one else. And she's wishy-washy with her emotions. But it's just a continuation of everything that we've seen so far. That she's willing to do everything and anything to make sure that she comes out on top.
In the 5th and final act, we see Leia enter business with Marco, the provider of the drugs that Ravi sells. She seems distraught by Celine's death.
Of course I was distraught by his death. I loved him, and nobody can tell me I didn't. Watching a man sacrifice himself for you, it changes you, and nobody can judge me. I don't care what the court decides. I don't care what the audience decides, because I know I changed. I know this entire experience left me completely different from how I started. I'm done. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Marco is just like the initial investor. Storm. Ravi. They are people that Leia turns to in a time of need. And she thinks that she can outmaneuver them. But ultimately, she's the one that is swindled. It has already been shown that although Marco recognized a debt to Leia, he roped her into gang activity without regard of her wishes. He's a ruthless leader who doesn't think twice before cutting people off who can't handle business. We've already shown that Leia hesitates to make tough decisions, and that sometimes necessary ones, like killing Danny or killing Ravi. She will ultimately be swindled by Marco. We have not seen what has happened yet. No one can tell the future. But I know, and I'm sure the viewers know, that she is going to end up in even a deeper hole. And she's not going to have someone like Celine to get her out of it. She is continuing the same act that we've seen throughout the entire show. She has not changed a single bit, and she won't change.
Your Honor, opposing counsel would like to argue that Leia turns to other people when she needs help, but she doesn't. She turns to herself. She only relies on herself. She only can trust herself. We can see that at the end of the day. Ravi killing Salim, one of the only people she trusts. She makes decisions for herself, and she knows what she's doing. We can see in that last scene with her and Marco when Ravi comes in, she is the boss. She is running the table. She has the upper hand, and it's because she trusts herself and she knows what she's doing. And I think that in itself shows growth, because at the beginning, she knew what she was doing, but in a way where she was making decisions as they come, relying on her instincts, but now she knows. Now she's taken over. And that is true growth. Thank you.
After hearing all of these arguments, I have come to the conclusion that
So guys, that last scene, Why do we have to write it like that? Why did Salim have to die?
He
Well,
had to.
Yeah, I think it draws his arc to a close. It provides that he's willing to commit to escaping gang life, and this shows just how committed he is.
Let's think about alternative endings. Do we think Leia could have died? Do we think she could have been the one down in that forest?
It wouldn't have
No.
worked. Like, it would all just fall apart.
Even
Like-
though Salim was the kingpin, like the connector,
Mm.
Leia was the story.
Yeah.
So without her, you can't like tie everything together so nicely as you could have with Salim's death.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody's relying on Salim. He doesn't have a son or a child like Leia does. He isn't the head of a company, so if he went missing, it would be national news or anything. The same way it would be with Leia, I think.
Salim's a tragic hero. He had
Exactly.
to die in order for his story arc to fit. Like he sacrificed himself for other people who were more greedy than him.
The audience
Narratively,
loves
it
him.
doesn't make sense if he stays alive narratively,
Yeah.
because then his character just did nothing the whole time,
Yes.
as you're saying. Yeah.
I was actually considering, like, if we did have Leia die, then, like, we could have kind of, like, there's just not enough, like, we wouldn't have been able to tie up all the loose ends. Like, we could have had it, like, Salim, like, finally was like, you know what, like, I'm out, like, you can kill me too, but, like, I don't want any part of this. And, like, Ravi, you know, being in love with him would, like, maybe, like, held the gun up to him, but not been able to do it. And then Salim would just take care of Sammy and just live his life. But then
How
that
would
leaves
Salim
Tim.
take care of Sammy? What claim does he have to Sammy?
Okay, no,
I don't
but maybe you
think-
can just
Yeah,
kidnap
Sam-
him. Guys, bear with me.
Years
Wait.
ago.
But then, like, if that happened, okay, Leia's dead, and then, but then, like, there's, like, kind of, like, no one to really run target coach, and then, like, also, okay, like, maybe Salim can go off with Sammy, but then, like, Tim does not, like, get the, like, growth that he needs. Like, Tim seeing Salim die was, like, I can't do this gang stuff. Like, because, like, Salim meant something to him.
His
Leia
role
didn't mean, exactly, Leia didn't mean very much.
So you're
He
saying
didn't know her.
if
He didn't know her. Like, he showed up, and she's like,
Yeah.
who is this guy? Like, they didn't know each
And
other. Like,
he
it had to be
knows
Salim.
that she did it, is I
Yeah.
think the interesting part.
And Tim, he never rats out Salim. He says it was Leia who did it, and despite Salim being right there and saying
Right.
shoot him, he never says Salim had any involvement. He just says Leia, and he says that because he has to save his own skin.
So if Leia died, Tim also needed to die.
Yeah, I
True
think so.
facts.
Which is too much.
Which is too much.
too many
Yeah.
characters to, like, get rid of,
What
guys.
if all of them died? That could have been.
That could
But then,
Yeah,
guys,
too.
but then no season 2 and less money for us.
So they didn't even know there was a season 2, so
Oh,
they
God.
really could have killed everybody.
But if we want to have a season 2, we can't.
Exactly.
And I think
If they
it's
killed
almost
them.
harder to tie up loose ends if everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
then
there's
Just a
It's
little
over.
harder than
You
You
Salim
could just
being
kill the
dead.
14-year-old. Like, what are
yeah,
you?
because then there's no
Yeah.
Tim to take the fall for what happened in the forest, and the police are gonna be like, why is there 3 dead bodies that all seem to be related to gang activity?
That's so
Yeah,
true.
that would make Ravi look bad.
If
So Ravi kept him alive to save himself.
yeah,
Yeah,
Ah.
makes sense.
yeah. Okay, if you guys had to, like, not even doing good writing, how would you have wanted the ending?
That's pretty much how I predicted it, I think.
Yeah.
But I wanted Leia to go a little bit crazy. You know, like we see a little bit of like her mask falling down. Like it shook her, but I wanted it to shake her more. You know, I wanted her, I guess, to feel like she had that connection with Salim more.
Yeah, 'cause she doesn't. She feels remorse, but she doesn't change.
No.
Yeah, I really agree. Like, I wanted more than, like, that single tear going down her cheek.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted her to have a mental breakdown. Like, we finally see that she can't go any further, at least for the time being.
I feel like that's who she is, though.
She keeps going
She
forward.
cares, but does she? Does she really?
Hmm.
She needs to keep moving forward. Yeah, she has to. She cares more about her company and her family and her security than anything, and her power, which she clearly has at the end because of Salim stuff.
Yeah.
How would you guys have wanted it to end? Anything different? Before you watched it?
Before I watched it,
Yeah.
the ending, I feel like if they somehow were able to kill Ravi and maybe Salim took charge of the gang, that could be an alternative where you started following like maybe his growth back into the gang. But again, he wanted out, so I
Yeah.
didn't see that as reality.
Yeah.
I saw that as more a fantasy of like keeping Salim.
Before I watched it, I went into it like with the pretty safe assumption that someone was gonna die, and so I was thinking about who of the 3 makes the most sense, and it was definitely Salim.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that much of a surprise. I mean, it kind of surprised me how it happened. Like I didn't expect Tim to get back involved into it. I thought Tim was just gonna be gone, but I mean it makes sense now that he's taking the fall.
Yeah.
So overall, we agree with the ending.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good ending.
Yeah.
It was a
made
good
sense.
ending.
Good ending.
Gave
Good
you-
work to us, guys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slava cat.
Slava cow.
Okay.
Grecasso. Min bror sitter på fullt med stick som en kaktus. Kokainet här väcker upp det som en kall dusch. Till 24 man